Okay, battery's full on the camera. Yeah, went dead on me yesterday. Now, what I'm going to do today is not only work on the compass, but my dad brought me, not bought, he did not buy, brought me a side item to work on that has been a project a couple of times now because somebody keeps breaking. Oh, and I just ran right into my car with my hip. That felt really nice. Not. Anyway, let's see. It's a little brush scooter that I need to replace the controller. I have already built the battery for it, and the battery's not included. Well, per se. Now, I hope my microphone's working, but so far I have not been impressed. Where's kickstand? I know these things have got kickstands. Must have been taken off. That is no good to me. Alright, well, lay it down. Because I'm sure everybody would like to see what I'm doing. Anyway, what these consist of is, of course, a throttle, a variable throttle up on the handle grip. This is a 350 watt motor. Charger port here, on off switch here, and what's missing in here is the controller that got grounded by water. Now, I've already replaced the controller in this thing once. They just don't seem to hold up. This one's 24 volt. That's what it runs off of. And 500 watts. Yes. I did say the motor's 350 watts. Yes, I did. This is 500. Made in China. Now, what I've seen them be notorious to do is overrate their stuff just to get a little price gouge out. A little extra price. So what I'm actually going to rate this at, now the last one I put in was 350 watts. Now the individual that owns this, I stepped the battery up one more voltage, one more step for voltage. Anybody that's watched my channel on a regular basis or has watched any of my videos probably knows I build batteries. Yes, I built a battery that goes in this whole compartment. When I stepped the voltage up on the battery and it went back to the individual that actually owns it, she complained. Sometimes the wheel comes off the ground in the front. It does a wheelie and tries to leave her behind. That was with 350 watts. This is 500. So she did request not to do any upgrades on it because it was fine like it is. But I kind of can't leave well enough alone, and well, to her it's free work because, well, it's through my dad. So I'll tell my dad about the upgrade on that, and he can pass word along. Uh, Everything's been working fine. So if you've got an old scooter like this that runs off 12-volt batteries and it's like two together, you can buy a lithium battery for it pre-built. A 24-volt lithium battery. As long as it'll fit and this will work. That's all you need. And it cannot be taller. You have to be able to put this back on. And when you're done, make sure to put some kind of foam sealant around the edges and plug any gap that water can get in. Because when water gets in with electronics, it's not friendly. And somebody doesn't seem to realize that. Introducing the battery. Now, when I keep talking, let's see, what I'm talking about for water is, yes, this is encased by Kapton tape, but it is not waterproof. And as you can see, something bad has happened right there. Now, I haven't tested that yet, so I don't know if it's blown a fuse, but I was told that that battery runs about 20 miles. Which, that's about what I calculated. So I was glad to hear that. Alright, now I forgot what I need to do. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to change the throttle. Let's see. Motor. It's here. Yes. And then power. Let's see. There's the throttle. I think I may have to repin it. Okay, guess I need to do more than repin it because, well, it's the wrong plug. And I think I need to change that in too. So I gotta change the throttle and also power plug. Yeah, definitely. Alright, not just simple plug and play. Go work on this controller and make it ready for the scooter. Okay, back to recording. I got the changeover made. And what I had to do, instead of shoving this thing up, I've got two cameras. I referenced one before, kind of like a GoPro wannabe, made in China. Yeah. So, I'm going to see how this works out in editing. And I can actually connect my phone to this thing. Battery's fully charged. That's fantastic because it's been sitting for quite a while. I think I might have top charged it a couple of months ago. Set on 2.7K, 30 frames per second. The time and date is actually correct. That's impressive. And I've got enough recording for 5 hours, 51 minutes, 55 seconds. Alright. So. Now recording. Not too sure what I'm going to do about the audio. But anyway, this is a Schwinn. As you can see. The motor, electro drive, it's brushed. 350 watts. Where did I get that? Oh. 24 volt, 22 amp, 2600 RPM. And the screen shut off. That must be why it's meant to, but 24 volt times 22 amp. And, 350 watts. Right there. What I had to do, this, why I can't yin tech, okay, 500 watts, 20 volt, it's actually 24, it's supposed to shut off at 20, but who knows if it really will. But what I had to do was change this cable to the female plug-in. This is the original plug that was on the original controller before it was changed. I probably should change this plug to make it universal, but the only problem is this, because this goes to the battery itself. Main power in. This goes to the motor. One to the controller. One to the battery. And they are bridged, as you can see. And then there's a fuse link between them. 40 amp. I have no idea why that fuse is at 40 amp. It should be over 20. And according to the motor, it does say 22 amp. So that could cause problem later. But this thing has no specials. It has no brake light, no regeneration. It don't even have a power detector on the brake. Or here, normally if there's a sensor that detects that the brake's being pressed, it'll go to the controller, and the controller actually has a switch for a brake light. But that would depend on if this actually has a wire coming out of it to detect that it's actually being pressed, or a button, basically. It's just a button, momentary contact. When the brake is released, the button's pressed, that turns it off. When you pull it, the button goes out, and it makes momentary contact to tell the controller, hey, the brake is on. So a smart controller would say, oh, the brake is on, shut the motor off, and then activate a brake light if it's got that option. But this thing don't. All it has is a throttle, a brake lever for drum brake, and connection for the battery, connection for the controller, and of course that's pretty much it. It's really simple. Oh, and a connection for the motor too. But you know that's going to be a given. But anyway, let me switch back over to the other camera and plug this stuff up. Oh, you push the power on to turn the screen on. Okay. Well, I hope I got all that. Anyway, I'll find out when I go to edit it and add this thing in. This thing's really easy to maneuver, and not too sure about the audio. I don't think I've. Well, yeah, I have. I've used it on my bike, and it didn't do too bad. But okay, let me switch. Recording stopped. All right. The fuse cover has been removed. That must have been Dad's doing. Trying to find out why it's not working. But if you run it through puddles and try and make it swim, no wonder. Alright, let's see. Lucky for me, this controller actually has the correct plug that goes to the motor. But everything else, the throttle and the power, it's totally different. Short end, go here. Throttle, go here. Red, green in the center, yellow to the outside. That wire's black. Alright, well, that's how it was. Now, Schwinn just had the controller shoved up to the front. And as you can see, I put a pad in here to lift the battery off of the metal. I had to. Stand that controller up. Make sure all the wires are out of the way. I'll probably find a way to get this thing to stand up. They did have a kickstand. Dad probably took it off. I think it was on the back wheel. There is no room at all. I mean, this battery just barely fits. I probably should check that black area. Because that is smoked. Yeah, that fuse is blown. That fuse link is blown for that battery. So I am gonna have to fix that. And hopefully this battery is still okay. Looks like that plate might be just a tad bit long. And it rubbed up against the metal. Okay, I'm gonna go check this battery. All my electronic stuff is inside. I'll be back. There it is. Okay, technical difficulties. Alright, well, confirmed that dark spot was a blown fuse. The fuse link was blown from here and it goes around and welds down to the battery. The battery's still fully charged, so good to go there. I checked all these batteries to make sure they had continuity. These are okay, so all that was wrong was that one cell. These fuse links are actually only rated at 3 amp. I've got to recover that with tape and put it back in this case. This battery really fits in this spot tightly. I basically did a boo-boo when I built it. I was like, whoops. It's got a little room at the top, but not at the sides. And it looks like it's been rubbing right there. The ground point, which goes to the body anyway. So it don't matter if it shorts out. The charger is not made for lithium ion. It is actually made for 24 volt lead acid. I added a buck converter that's constant current, constant voltage. To add a level of protection on the battery itself. And the controller doesn't really cut the power down, but the charger does when the voltage gets up to a certain point. But that's overall voltage. Of course, with constant current, constant voltage, it drops down an incredible amount on charge current. And I have battery over voltage protection on the battery itself, but not BMS. There's just no room. I can't remember which way I need to put this in. I think it's the front first. I think. Add another 10 pounds, and I am right at the edge of the sawhorses. Alright, off. Wrong way. I've already verified the throttle was okay. It just wasn't putting out any power going to the motor. On. No green light. That's lovely. That means it's not going to work. Made in China. Well, I've got a power connector that's not connected. Lovely. Which one is it? Which thing is not doing its job? There's the motor plug. There's the power plug going to the controller. One of these connectors has probably failed. These are all extra. The primary on-off switch is actually bridged into the main power, and I think it lit up. Yep, it lit up right there. So, interesting. I don't have power into the controller. At least yet I don't. And that is making the light shut off. That on-off switch may be failing. Let's see if the back wheel will spin. No. Well, I reckon I need to get my meter and see if this thing's actually getting power. Most likely it's not. Something is for that light to turn on. I hate to think I'm going to have to change the power connectors, although I don't like that type of power connector anyway. But you know, this thing is old. Okay, battery's hooked up. Make sure the battery's putting out voltage. Look around. That's positive. 17 volts. Oh, and my dad said, well, that battery's fully charged. No, it's not. Well, this video's done until this battery gets charged. 17 volts ain't gonna cut it. That's below the threshold on the controller. I think the cutoff voltage is right around 20 and the battery's reading overall voltage of 17. So down to 20. Am I getting an accurate reading? This is ground. Hot. 17.08. Alright, I do have a backup battery that I can test with. And this one needs to be charged. Go get the backup battery. The battery's fully charged. No, it's not. 17 volts ain't fully charged. Alright, what is the voltage for this? Up to 200. Positive. Ground 24. It's, let's see, what is it? 7 cell? Pretty sure. 1, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So 24 will be good enough to test with. Voltage is down some. That's out ground. Let's hope there is no sparks. Controller powered. Nothing. It's not going to get power either. I gotta find a plug. Not exactly what I wanted, but I can't exactly find the plug adapter I need. Take that and pull it over to keep it from shorting. Unplug this. Do that alligator clip. I can get be an assistant. There's ground. Positive plugged into the socket. Power. Definite. Still nothing. Yep. The power. I get power to the throttle. Let's see. Green should be ground. Red positive. Something is wrong with the throttle. And this whole setup has a proprietary plug on it. How is that ran? Let's see, it's taped onto the handlebar. Ran down here through the opening of the frame and plugged into the controller. Alright, so is the controller. outputting voltage to the throttle. Let's unplug it and find out. Light's still on. Alright, green ground, red positive. Your throttle should always have voltage when everything's turned on. Red, no. No. Am I even getting power to the controller? Yes. 23.9. Okay, so it's going through all that plus the fuse, so all that's okay up to that point. So next point would be checking to make sure I'm getting power through the plug itself. Like I said, I do not like these plugs. They are not good. They work in a pinch. That's about it. I'm getting 2 volts. There it is. Stupid meter. 24 volts. All good. So 24 volts is definitely going to the controller. Now, the throttle is the only connector that has 3 wires. And of course I can't read Chinese, so 5 volts. Reduction to 5 volts. It actually should be outputting 5 volts from the power lead and ground. Red will be positive. Sometimes I gotta tap on that meter to wake it up. That dial has seen its better days. I'm not getting 5 volts going to the controller. Alright, let's see if the wire is broken. There's red. Red up past the plug. Good. Green. Green past the plug. Good. And that one is yellow. So yellow, the other side of the plug. All good. Back side of the plug. This is what happens when you don't trust your meter. Stop floating. Alright, that's on ground, but that's good enough. I need to see 5 volts being fed through. This controller's bad. That's the only explanation I've got. The switch should actually kill the power going to the controller. I'm showing 1.6 volts, 1.5 with the switch off, 24 with the switch on, and it should immediately switch on to 5 volts going to the throttle itself. But it's not doing it, so it's effective. Unitech. Mm-hmm. If you're not getting 5 volts going at the throttle, people, these things will not work. Because that is what triggers the controller to activate the motor when you twist the throttle. And I have already verified that the throttle does work. All the wires are connected. It's just waiting for 5 volts, ground, and then the signal wire gets fed out when you start to spin it to go to the controller to turn power at the wheels. That's just how they work. So this thing's done. I've already changed that plug out. So that's a mess. Not sure what to do. I know what I'd like to do. Gut this thing and make it modern. But that's about $200. And, well, it's not nothing, my friend. So, yeah. I've got my own stuff to do. Anyway, I gotta work on the Jeep. I got an impact wrench. Oh, anyway, thanks for watching, people. Let me do this. Thank you for watching. This is a fail. Not my fault, because this is not outputting 5 volts to the throttle. The last one I put in here worked out just fine, and I did the same thing. So, nothing different. It's just not working. Alright. I'm going to cut the video here. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and post this because some people may want to know about this. And what to look for. And I've pretty much went over all the basics. What to look for, what to check, and kind of how things work. And if you have a problem with something like this that is brushed, then take a look back over the video and you'll see things to do. But the number one thing is the controller has to put out 5 volts going to the throttle, and the throttle has to be okay. If you don't have that 5 volts going to the throttle, then nothing's going to work. It's dead. Absolutely. Next thing to check is just make sure you're getting power going into the controller, which is what I've done. If you had a boo-boo somewhere, and believe me, this thing has, in fact, the wires are tore. Battery's about to die, so I'm going to have to get a jumper.